Why, hello there, Nice Dow here. I hope this video finds you well. Today I'm bringing you a review of a budget knife. This is the Civivi Placoid. And before I start anything, if you would consider liking and subscribing, it would help the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully you stick around and enjoy this review. This is a freaking great knife. I really like this knife. In fact, if it came out last year, it didn't, it came out in 24, this would be in my top knives of 2025 knife. It's really freaking good. So, let's jump into specs, and then we'll get to why this thing is so good shortly after that. This is a larger knife. This is 3 3/4 inches of blade. Just about 3 3/4 inches of blade. 8 3/4 overall. Handle is just a hair over 5 inches. Why is that a hair over 5 inches? 3 3/4. Oh, it's not quite 8 3/4. Those numbers don't quite make sense. Why is it not adding up? That looks like 3 3/4 of blade. Maybe it's a tiny hair under 3 3/4 of blade, with a tiny hair over 5 inches and 8 3/4 overall, approximately. Whatever, I don't know. It's not adding up. It's hardly the first thing to have ever gone wrong, right? Right. Let's do the more important comparisons, as you'll be able to see approximately how large this knife is, which it is. I would say that this is a large knife. Just barely in the actual overall size for what I normally consider a large knife. However, with the height of it and everything like that, it does feel large. Compared to the small Civivi Elementum and the full-size Conspirator, as you can pretty much see, yeah, it's... Let's put on another light here. That'll give us a little bit of extra light there. Yeah. It's pretty reasonably... It's big. It's good-sized knife. Definitely is. One thing, however, that it is not is a particularly thick knife, in fact. It is thinner than the Conspirator. Not by a ton, but it is thinner. Before we get to actually seeing how much thinner it is, let's do our last comparison to AA batteries for the grip length. And for this thing, you have just shy of 2 AA batteries of grip length, though you can definitely wrap around if your hands are particularly large and get pretty much 2 full AA batteries of grip length, because you can definitely be like kind of skirting around that and still be pretty secure here. But it's a reasonably comfortable, not reasonably comfortable, it's comfortable and reasonably roomy is what I'm going for. Let's actually check how thick it is now, or how thin it is. 479 thousandths. Yes, that is thinner than the, I think, 520 thousandths of 25 thousandths of the Conspirator. It is a bit thicker than the Elementum, but it's actually pretty close to the Elementum. It's relatively thin for the size of it. Also relatively thin is the 116.5 blade stock. I'd say that's probably 117 thousandths blade stock. Pretty minimal there, pretty thin. It's got a large, a little bit of gunk on there, but it's got a large, tall blade with a good amount of drop. In fact, almost the entire blade, the drop on this thing from the actual edge grind, or not the cutting grind, but the edge bevel? No. The edge bevel's down here. Cutting bevel? There we go. Is almost as tall as the Conspirator's entire blade. It's quite tall. And behind the edge, well, I'm assuming it's pretty thin. Civivi does like some thin blades to... Whoa, yes, it is very thin. About 8 thousandths behind the edge? Yeah, 7.5 thousandths, 8 thousandths behind the edge. Very thin. Very thin, very slicey. It is tall, it cuts well. The edge is decent. It's pretty good. It definitely will cut. It's lost a little bit of its bite. It's pretty standard for Civivi. It's geometry makes these things cut pretty darn well. The edge is kind of meh, but with geometry like this, it's fine. Hardware check is the next thing I want to do. T8 pivot T8 body screws, T6 pocket clip screws. The pocket clip is reversible, but other than that, there's no... It's all T8s, and honestly, to take it apart, unless you're changing the pocket clip, which you'll never... Although if you don't change the pocket clip, you'll never have to interface with that. The only thing you have to deal with is T8s, which is great to see. Pardon me. Weight. 4.73 ounces. Yeah, it's a little bit on the heavier side, but it's a tall, burly, big thing. It is pretty heavily skeletonized out in there, but it's still reasonably heavy. It is steel liner lock. And while there's just a lot of material, so of course it's going to be reasonably weighty there. I believe that brings us to the end of our specs section. So let's just start talking about this thing. You got sort of a clip point, which there's something like Placoid is the name of this thing, but it also correlates to like shark skin or something like that. And a clip, and in knives it denotes clip point or something like that. I don't know. It's weird. Doesn't matter. Who cares? It is basically a modified sheep's foot or a clip point, almost spear point kind of thing. It's an interesting blade shape. It's a nice blade shape. It's extremely functional, extremely utilitarian, good tip access. It's really good. It's got a unique look to it because it's just such a big, burly thing. I like it. Big swedge up here. Sharpening choil and plunge grind is pretty great. It could be a little bit more plunge grind. They did, do a pretty slow drop on that plunge grind. But they did give you a bit of room, and because it's a flipper knife, you have the flipper interfacing with the stop pin, so you can definitely cut in more choil. I mean, there's definite choil there, but you could extend this out, and I mean, honestly, you could even extend this out because, this part of the blade is behind or underneath the thumb stud. You're not really getting much use out of this part of the blade. You could probably extend that out if you really wanted a finger choil on this thing, and probably out to there. And get a finger choil on it if you really wanted it. I mean, of course, you can always use it at a slight angle, which is probably how you're going to, so you might get some use out of that part of the blade. But either way, you have some options. You have a little bit of room. You're definitely going to have to cut in a sharpening choil at some point, but you can do so. I didn't even mention the blade steel, and that is, as usual, borderline microscopic. It is right there. It is 14C28N. Good toughness, good corrosion proof. It's a little bit lighter on the... If we're being completely honest, while I like 14C28N, it doesn't have a lot. It's easy to touch up, and I like it, but it doesn't have the greatest edge retention. And most companies run it around like 58 to 60-ish, which is perfectly reasonable for that steel. But yeah, it doesn't offer the greatest edge retention. However, it's not that much different than, like, say, a 9CR, which is pretty standard for budget knives around this territory. So you're not really getting anything completely outside the realm. I mean, maybe 9CR is 9CR a little bit better? Let me know. Is 9CR slightly better on the edge retention? I don't know off the top of my head. But without making a slight jump up to something like 154 cm that probably has a bit more edge retention, this is pretty reasonable and pretty standard for budget steel if you want the corrosion resistance. Of course, if you don't care about that, well, anything in D2 is probably going to have better edge retention, but you lose corrosion. It's a tool steel. It's not going to do that, so whatever. This is a flipper tab and thumb stud actuating knife. Both work pretty well. These thumb studs are quite good, actually. They didn't really even give you any, like, slant or grooves down. No scallops or anything. Doesn't need it. Works great. Fantastic detent. Works great for this. Flipper and the thumb stud action are equally as good. The jimping on the back of the spine here doesn't really do a ton. It does provide just a tiny bit of traction. Probably would do something in gloves, but it doesn't do a ton other than just give a little bit of tactile feel and maybe the hint of grip. But I mean, you're pretty well locked in. I'm not too upset about that. Moving on from the blade, we have, if you haven't figured it out, ball bearings in the pivot. And yeah, this is one of the things that is one of what that immediately did I notice this. This action is drop shot. It is completely and totally fall shot. Pretty controllable drop shot, in fact. The action on this thing is one of the big sellers. It immediately stood out, and this is not typical action for budget knives. It feels really good. Really good. I mean, Kaiser does a lot of those, though they typically have a little cutout in the back end of the tang to shift the weight that causes their knives to drop shut. This does not have that. However, the feel of this, sometimes Kaisers can be a little bit bumpy, a little bit sort of, there's just a feel to the way it moves and the blade closes that you can still feel some, like, yeah, it's really, really, really good, but it's still a budget knife. This does not have that. At least not this one. This feels like a much more expensive knives action. And really, really good. Like, this feels as good, just about as good, as the action on my Wii knives -XL that I did a little while back. It's pretty stellar. It's controlled, and this is well and truly above what I would expect at this price point. It does not feel really budgety action at all, at least not on mine. They are ball bearings. They're whatever they've done it really well. There is no lock bar insert, but it is a steel lock bar, so who cares? There is a little bit of play. Have you come out? I didn't lock tight. Oh yeah, you did. As you can see, despite that, it's only more controlled. It's like, it's better. It's even better. And the play is gone. It is not centered, I will admit that. It does look to be both slightly ground off center, and just, it won't center up. It happens on some budget knives. This is one of them. It bugs the crap out of me. I tried to center it, wouldn't center up. It did that weird thing that some budget knives do, specifically budget knives. But, I mean, some other knives can do it, though. Usually it's a sign of, not that something you want on a more premium knife, where you tighten it all down, and it gets into, like, you get it looking like it's centered, and then you open it, and then it immediately starts having play. It won't tighten all the way down when you're adjusting it to try and get it to center up properly. It's very strange, but I couldn't get it to quite center up. That is the only fault that this knife has. Well, I suppose they could give us a little bit more lock bar access. There's not a ton. It's not hard to disengage whatsoever. It is jimped, which I don't normally like, but this one's fine. They've smoothed it down pretty hard. You don't have a ton of lock bar access, and you have to come slightly from a diagonal, but despite that, it's still pretty easy to access. So, could they have given us more? Would have been nice if they'd given us more, sure. But at the same time, it's really not being a problem here. It's coming from, it's kind of like a slight diagonal, which is not as bad as it honestly looks like it would be. The scales are flat, they are G10, but they're also shred G10, which Civivi has used, I think, only on 2 knives? Is it only 2 knives? I've only actually seen 2 knives that have it on there. I have them both, the Neurohaptic and this one. And guess what? I love it on both. I like the look of this Shred G10. I like the fit and finish of this Shred G10. Civivi has done a good job with it. It's just really nice looking. I like the blue. The Neurohaptic was black. It's good. I don't know if they put it on any other models, but I haven't really been paying attention either, so. In this one, they've got just a little bit of, it is a flat scale, nice big chamfers, nice softening into rounded, softened liners. They've given us a little bit of, I guess, design, but also a little bit of, you know, tactility. Like, you do interface with this, and it does, like, let you know where you are and feel good in the hand. And I'm not complaining about it. It works out just, they're kind of gills. I guess it leans into the shark thing, if they knew what they were talking about, or if they knew about the connection of the name of this thing. Maybe that's intentional. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Wasn't worth looking into. Ergos are fantastic. It's super comfortable. It's got a big, long, deep carry clip on it that is bizarrely super comfortable. If you absolutely want to and have to, Civivi has many, like on Amazon, you can get, I don't think I have any in my immediate vicinity, but they have basically popsicle stick titanium pocket clips that they sell pretty much on Amazon for like $14. You could get one. You'd have to make sure you get the right screw set up. There are a couple options, but you could totally get one if you don't like this clip. However, this clip is very comfortable. No problems whatsoever with the clip. It actually has slightly less flat than some Civivi knife clips that I've seen. In fact, let's see. Yeah, if you look at the Conspirator, there's much more flat, where this one has a little bit of flat, but it's still slightly rising. This is better. It works well. Great retention. Great in and out of the pocket. No problems whatsoever. Super deep carry. Nice, easy pinch point. In fact, these holes here sort of give you just, not necessarily traction, but they kind of work as a counterpoint with the clip to give you just a little bit of something, like to know where you're holding on to. It's easy in and out of the pocket. It's great. It's not inset. Some of the Civivi clips are inset. This one's not. But flat screws, pretty flat in there. Decent amount of room. You're not probably going to have any trouble with that. It's on a flat surface, yeah. It is reversible, as I mentioned before. This is just all around a really good large knife. Like, large budget knife. This is... I know I got this on sale for like $40, but I think the average price on these things is $55. Maybe $60? Yes. All day. Yes. 100% budget. This is fantastic. If they have this kind of action on most of them, absolutely stellar. Absolutely stellar. The fit and finish all around, other than the fact that mine, which this is certainly not going to be the case for all of them, mine is off-center. It just didn't want to center up. But that aside, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this knife. It is really good, really recommendable, and the action is very, very satisfying. But the ergos, everything about this knife is satisfying, user-friendly, and great. Good to go. I like this thing a lot. So the Civivi Placoid is definitely going into a recommendable knife. I will definitely have a link down below, and strongly, if you like the look of this knife, will strongly say this is one that you could check out and be probably pretty darn happy with it. And it just feels good. It feels like one of those larger sort of almost tactical knives, but it definitely doesn't like have the aggression of one, so it's a little bit more tame despite the size. Yeah. It's doing everything pretty darn right, other than maybe a little bit more lock bar access. And it's still very accessible. So, I'm going to end things here. Say thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing once more. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Hopefully we're having a great day, and we'll continue to do so. Either way, see you later.